My name is Ben. I'm a vinyl guy at Twist and Shout. I've been here for about 15 years. My music taste is centered on the 60s and 70s, I think, mostly. But then within that, every genre imaginable, global. Record shops are important because they represent cultural regionalism as opposed to homogenization, where if you go to the mall, you know what you're going to get, and it's all the same all over the world. Record shops, bookshops, if they're independently owned, you'll get very specific things, different places you go. CDs is what I happen to pull a couple of. Jobim, Antonio Carlos Jobim, self-titled album from 1973. Brazilian classic, taking bossa nova into the stratosphere, stretching the form to include kind of classical music and avant-garde music. It's fantastic. More Brazilian music, Milton Nascimento, one of my heroes. This one's called Milagrotos Pieces. He started off as a bossa guy. He became kind of this Van Morrison meets Nina Simone kind of spiritual warrior. There was some political content in it which was censored, so he decided to put the album out wordless. So it's just vocalese, because you can't silence a voice. So it's a really interesting record. It's kind of tropical and ambient, and it's fantastic. Another CD, Lee Dorsey, a New Orleans singer who was the kind of mouthpiece for Alan Toussaint. It's just very soulful, beautiful music. Has this universal quality to it, this appeal, it's lovely. Recently, when they were tearing down all the statues in Louisiana, Lee's Circle, which was General Robert E. Lee, I suppose it was Robert E. Lee. I thought they should keep the name Lee Circle, just name it after Lee Dorsey. I have a little one, a baby record, 45s. This is Georgie Fame, Yeah Yeah. Georgie Fame was a British jazz, soul, R&B cat in the 60s, played a club called the Flamingo, and this is a song called Yeah Yeah, which was originally by Lambert Hendrickson Ross, and it is just a killer club tune that will light up your dance floor. Recommended. The Kinks, good band, everybody should know them. This is a cool comp because even though it's got hits and highlights on it from about 66 through to 71, but it's got songs that weren't anywhere else. So it's got the B-sides and some outtakes too. Even if you have the albums, essential. Trees. Trees were a folk rock band in England. They made 2 albums, both in 1970. This was after Fairport Convention made an album called Legion Leaf, and hundreds of bands came along and started to adapt British, English, Celtic folk for the current setting. And these guys were the hardest rocking of them. So it's like Zeppelin, Jeff Beck group, but with a female singer. It's spooky and it's atmospheric and it's wonderful. And this was a Hypnosis cover, one of my favorites. July is a reissue of their only album, originally released 67, 68. It's quite pioneering. It has tape loops on it and interesting things. The main bloke, Tom Newman, went on to engineer Tubular Bells. So, you know, you can see why it's such a kind of technically interesting record. Sandy Posey. When you've got all your Bobby Gentry and your Skeeter Davis and you need more, it's kind of has that girl group sound like Crystals and Shangri-La's, Leslie Gore type sound, mixed with a little countrypolitan, kind of sophisticated country 60s. She looks very mod on the front. She had a couple of hits. Single Girl was a hit, and she has a big hit called Born a Woman, which was kind of a proto-feminist anthem. But no, she's not that well known these days. Last but not least, The Yard Went On Forever. Richard Harris was an actor. He made a couple of albums of all Jimmy Webb songs back in the 60s. And this is orchestral pop, not a million miles away from, say, Scott Walker. It's got the Wrecking Crew on it, and it's quite theatrical, I suppose. And he performs them. He's like Richard III, you know, so he can perform in this Shakespearean manner and kind of inhabit these songs, which were a little bit dangerous, a little bit edgy.
What would you know him from as an actor?
Richard Harris was in Camelot. He was in an early British free cinema movie called Sporting Life. And then I'm completely spacing out. He was Dumbledore in the original. Harry Potter films before he died, and then Michael Gambon took his place.